mouse events. So what are mouse events? Well, everything that we can and will do with a mouse. So let me just grab onto a variable, and what I want to type in a comment. I actually want to type in const, and let's call this title. We're going to grab on to this one, this h1 right here. So let me just check it, h1. I'm going to grab it by its tag name. So query selector, I'm going to grab onto the h1 because there's only one h1 in our entire page. And also query selector selects the very first element. So next up, I want to also grab onto this check right here. So const, let's call this check, and let's give this document query selector, and we're going to grab onto the ID. Was it the ID of check? So let me check this. There we go. Checkbox. Yeah, it's the ID of checkbox. And I'm also going to grab onto the email and also to the submit button. So let's create this input email, and let's grab on document query selector, and I think this had the ID of email. Yep. And the last one, input or submit button, btn. Document query selector, and let's see, they should have, let's go by the class of btn, and there should be an ID. Okay, so I think, let me just quickly check if everything is going accordingly. So title, there we go, checkbox, yep, have it, input, yes, and submit button. Yep, okay, we got everything. So I'm going to comment this out, and let's just create an event handler function. So let's type in a comment, event handler function. Okay, so function, let's call this run events. Okay, and let's also put in here an event, and now let's say console log event type, and we're going to grab onto the event now and the type of. So event and the type of the event that is running. Okay, now first let's take a look at the click event. We already seen this, but let's check it out again. So let's say we will take the checkbox and we'll add an event listener of a click, and when this happens we are going to run our name function of run event. So let's go up here to the to the checkbox, click it, and the event of click just ran. We could also grab onto the label, and let's say when we click this, this should do something. So let's see, we have this label, class of custom control label, and let's say document. We are going to create here a let, and I'm going to give this the name of do. We're going to assign this to something. Okay, so let's go on to document dot query selector, and what kind of class did this had? Custom label. So not only that we are going to run this event, but we're also going to get to do something, and say dot style dot color, color red. Okay, let's hit save. Let's click on this, and the label changes to red. And let me actually create here, let me change this to a const. I'm going to leave it this way. Okay, so we saw a click. If we click, then the event is logged, and also we could do something with the click. Now let's take a look at double click, and this is pretty simple. It's exactly like click, but it's dbl click. So when this happens, I want to run the event, so let me double click here. Actually, we can't do this with the checkbox because either checked or not checked, but we can do it with the input email. And also let me run two events here. So one will be click. So you can see if I click here in the email, then the click event is run. And if I double click now, the double click is run. So I clicked 3 times. Let me refresh this. So one click, it runs the click. Another click, it runs the click. Let's refresh this, clear the console. Now I will just double click. It will log 2 clicks from here and 1 double click. Okay, I will double click again. So this should be now 4 clicks and this should be 2 double clicks. Let's see. Oh, up here. So let's try this again. So here and then again. Okay, so double click, double click. Okay, next up, let's take a look at mouse down. And let me grab onto the input tag again and change to mouse down. And what this does, it only runs when I hold down the mouse. Okay, so I'm holding down the mouse. When I'm releasing it, it's a click. Okay, so once again, only when I hold down the mouse it runs. When I release the mouse, it runs as click. So if I just have a simple click, then it runs both mouse down and click events. Now let me copy actually both of this down here, and we also have mouse up. So down here, mouse up, and this actually run when I lift up the mouse. So let me now comment out, oh, not this one, the double click and the click. So if I will click in my email address input box, then mouse down and mouse up will run. First, I will click and hold, so mouse down should run. Okay, now when I release, mouse up is console logged. So this only runs when I lift my finger over my mouse. It also runs with right click and with left click. So I just right clicked in here, and when I release, mouse up is triggered. Okay, so let's clear this up, and now let's see at mouse enter. Take a look at mouse enter. So let me copy this. Let me go up here, and this will be now mouse enter. You can see this is happening when I enter the mouse with the mouse, and we also have mouse leave. I'm going to change this to leave, and I entered, and now when I leave with the mouse leave is triggered. Okay, so parallel to this, we also have mouse over and mouse out. Let me first change this to over and out. So we enter mouse leave and mouse enter is triggered, and now that we're leaving, mouse out and mouse leave is triggered. But the mouse over can only be triggered when it runs when a pointer is moved onto an element or onto one of its children. So let me actually comment this to out. Mouse down, and we'll only have mouse over and mouse out. Okay, so that's basically the difference between mouse enter and mouse leave, and mouse over and mouse out. And the last one I want to show you is mouse move. So let me just copy this, and let's replace it with mouse move. And for this, I'm going to create a different function, because the mouse move event is fired at an element when the pointer device, so our mouse, is moved while the cursor's hotspot is inside it. Okay, so let me create a function to demonstrate this. Follow mouse, let's say. And let's type in here an event. Let's say title. So now we're going to grab onto that H1 that we created up here. Dot text content is equal to, so what we're trying to do here is change the text content here on, actually I could do this with console log, but I want to do it up there. So let me comment this also, console.log, and we're going to log on a string. You can do it at the back, yeah. So mouse x-axis will be the event on the offset on the x-axis, and then we'll have mouse y, which will display us the offset of the event on the y-axis. So event offset on the y-axis. Okay, so let me also include this function here. And so, okay, so let's go into our input tag, but this is pretty complicated. So let me first of all comment this one out. Okay, so this is logging each and every movement I make. You know, this has an x and a y axis, and it also has a 0, episode 0 down here, and down and up here. Okay, so this is why I'm going to log it actually here in the inner text. So let me copy this and paste it in here, and I'll comment it out. So we don't need the console log anymore, but we are going to display it in here. So instead of the h1, as you can see, it turns now to, and it logs our mouse movement. Let me actually make this larger. We're almost done with this section now, so I can close up the console. Let's check this out. The mouse is now moving up here. I think I need to increase the width of this or decrease this. Okay, so when we are, damn it, I need to change this width. Style, up here. Let's see. We have a body, we have a style width. Let's go with 600. There we go. That's much better. So let me zoom in again. So this is logging the mouse event of mouse move. And I'm actually up here at 0. Should I do a cursor pointer when I'm in here? No, let's leave it at this. Okay, so if I move down on the y-axis, you can see it goes to 30. And if I move to the left or to the right, it goes to 540. And actually, I'm going to open now up console. Let me just show you something. Okay, so this has a width, you can see it in here, of 540. Let's see if I make this larger. 540 and 38 pixels. Okay, so it has a width of 540 pixels and a height of 35 pixels. This is why when I'm moving in it and go down here, it has a 35. It ends at 35. If I leave it, it will almost go to 0. 37. Actually logging when I leave it out here. And if I go right, we are going to go to 540 almost. Okay guys, so that's pretty much it for click events, mouse events actually. So yeah, see you in the next one. Bye bye.